Um, how much money do you make as an adjunct professor each year?
Oh boy, it varies. As little as
What
10,
what varies?
as many as 20. It depends on how many courses are on offer that semester, how many I can teach, whether they run. Sometimes they're canceled. And sometimes it just depends on the season.
And how much money do you make each year?
My gosh, it's less than 20 anyway. Sometimes as little as 16, um, in that range.
Those are salary figures.
Those are everything.
Can you just throw that together in a sentence for me?
Uh,
I'm really
all
sorry.
told, with the teaching income here on an annual basis, my income tax, my bracket comes out to be less than 20, usually between 16 and 20.
And do you find that difficult to survive on?
I find that very difficult to survive on. For example, I had to buy a car last year, and uh, not a choice, 10 grand. Took me down a few pegs.
And what about the what about those individuals in the public who believe that this is your choice, and if you don't like teaching and you don't like being an adjunct, you should just go get a job somewhere else?
Those who believe that we teach because we love it are right. Those who believe that we choose to work part time are referring to an industry that is now gone. So, this is the new reality. Some of us are working part time because it's all we could find. Some of us are working part time with this idea that universities are simply going to provide a full time position in the near future, and that is quickly becoming a fable, something that we refer to in decades past, but not in decades future.
So I know that the adjuncts are bargaining at Plymouth State and CCSNH. The CCSNH recently filed an unfair labor practice.
Mm.
Is there something that you'd want to say in support to the adjuncts and get a message to the Board of Trustees? Ultimately, you'll be bargaining, or you are bargaining with them as well. So if there's a message you could send.
To my fellow adjuncts, the the process that you're going through now, of course, we are observing very closely because it matters to us. But more importantly, you matter to us, and most importantly, our students matter to us very much. We regard some of our working conditions as a risk to our national security. The students that we are helping to prepare matter very much to the future of the United States. This is a big issue. This is not simply somebody's paycheck or the idea that we want to work 37 hours instead of 36 hours. This is a real problem in our national conversation, and we should be having it in New England and New Hampshire.
Can you can you expand on the implications of ACA for adjunct faculty? There are thousands of adjuncts over the state that don't have health care. I was wondering if you wanted to make a comment on how this is progressing at PSU.
Well, I'm not sure how the issue is progressing across the state. I can tell you that we have had past conversations at Plymouth State University where we suggest, for example, that with the increasing number of adjuncts, that makes a bigger pool of people, and per unit in economic terms, that should reduce the cost of our contributions to such a plan. So that seems like a rational response to an ongoing yet developing problem. On the other hand, to those who might suggest that we are some kind of high risk category because we are in some, you know, some idea about us being transitional or not permanent employees and thus not worth investing in. I think that's worth revisiting for sure. But I know that I can tell you this: whether or not we have health care under the ACA, the biggest risk of all is that we don't have health care at all. So that's the biggest risk, and that's the thing to be avoided.
Can you expand more on working conditions at Plymouth for adjunct faculty?
Yes, I'm hearing um, in our conversations with our colleagues here at Plymouth State, we have a variety of things that we hear about, from office space We have some issues regarding working conditions, like our ability to hold office hours when there are 5 other people in our office. So the privacy that we value with our students is sometimes compromised by that. So we work very hard to avoid those kinds of problems when it comes to the quality of education that we offer our students. Other issues are class size, resources available to faculty members who are adjuncts. Currently, behind me is my one computer for our 5 people who share this office. So some of it is just sheer resources that might be available, but for whatever reason are not. Some working condition issues are about time or about availability in other ways. There are some concrete um, issues like parking, or the um, the mobile office units that we all have walking across our campus, rolling our carts or carrying our milk crates. Yellow is a popular color for milk crates. At any rate, these are just the kind of normal things that some people might take for granted in their daily jobs, and we cannot.
Um, what about what do you envision a strong contract for CCS Nation for PSU looking like? That, to as much as you can answer.
Well, I think any contract with adjunct faculty anywhere needs to recognize the professional nature of what we do. We are degree-bearing, certified instructors who, in some cases, are from internationally renowned universities. We are not fly-by-night, part-time stand-ins for the instruction that our citizens are counting on for the education of their children. We are as qualified as our full-time colleagues, in some cases more qualified than some of our full-time colleagues. And what we most value is the professional relationships that we have with all of our colleagues. So that's really the basis of any contract that is up for negotiation in the Granite State.
Can you tell me more about your professional qualifications?
Yes, I have a PhD in political science from Syracuse University's Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs. It is a nationally and internationally ranked university. Very proud to be an Orange Women alum, but I also hail from New England. My bachelor's degrees from Colby College in Waterville, Maine. So I am local from the Granite State and very happy to be back here. The only thing missing is a living wage and the professionalism that I deserve in my career.
Why are colleges and universities across the nation ignoring the ethical responsibility of treating adjuncts with fair wages and fair distribution of resources? Why is that an ethical consideration that's passed over in lieu of cost savings, or is there a larger piece of this discussion that's not being had?
Well, it is a national conversation. We are so much more reliant on this so-called business model of education, where the student is the customer. The parents are the customer. We should offer as much as we can for as little money as possible, which is not a bad idea in itself. The badness of the idea is when we start cutting costs to the detriment of the education that we have promised these parents for these students. And in the Granite State in particular, we have a tradition of pride in doing more with less. And I think we've reached as far as we can on that model. Right now, we are nearly, it's not sustainable even on an economic model that has been used to justify the progress so far.
If you could sum up your argument in one sentence, what would you say for a contract?
My argument for a contract to professionally recognize what we personally value. to put our priorities where we say they are, and to